everyone, and welcome to another tournament review with PMTT. This time I'm joined by Geordie. Geordie, how you going tonight?
G'day, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, really
Pretty
well,
well.
really well. Thanks for coming on. So the reason I've got Geordie with me tonight is because he actually won the most recent Gauntlet event, Gauntlet 8 at Battle Stations that was last weekend. He went undefeated on the day, the only person to go undefeated with his Beasts of Chaos. Um, Geordie's been playing Beasts for the entire time that I've known him, apart from I think one tournament that I saw you run Seraphon.
Yep.
So, in addition to talking about the experience that he had at the Gauntlet, I also wanted to pick his brain on kind of what the benefits were of sticking with a faction, really deep diving into one thing versus jumping all around the place and chasing the meta, trying to always stay on the top tier armies. But before we get into all that, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone how you got into the hobby?
Yeah, for sure. My name's Geordie. I've been playing now for probably close to 20 years. I first started when a friend up the road got a gift. I think it was back when he was Britannia versus Lisbon.
Yep.
And so way back in fantasy days, kicked off basically painting, well, dipping my models in the pots, pretty much. They look horrible. Um, Gradually progressed through there, playing all through fantasy up to eighth edition. Took a little break when AOS changes across without the points costs, so I just went over to 40k for a bit. And then once we started sort of getting more of a balance, I came back to AOS and really just sort of stuck with it.
Yeah, so you,
Uh,
you kind of prefer the more fantasy vibe or the sorted
yeah,
board over the guns?
very much so. Lord of the Rings fan. Love anything to do with fantasy. Love The Witcher. Basically, any sort of fantasy medieval theme. That's my jam.
Yeah,
Yeah, really enjoy it.
very nice, very nice. So you're a long-time Beastman player, and the most recent event that you went to, you took Beastman and did very well with them.
Yeah.
How does it feel that they're now one of the powerhouses?
It's amazing. Breath of fresh air. I've since coming in AS2, coming into AS2 back probably about I think it was 2 years ago. Just came back to the hobby, rebased all my squares from fantasy days, and arrived. Uh, my first sort of play back into it was I booked in at Mount Gravatt GW store,
Yep,
just
yep.
for a 5 day, 2 day 5 event. I had played about one game before that, and I figured it'd be a good idea just to jump back into it, give it a crack, and get 5 solid games in. Um, and just been playing them solidly since then. Uh, the biggest thing, I guess, is now it's nice that I can have, I guess, guaranteed output, and that they're actually competitive, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah. And that's one thing that I wanted to pick your brain about later is like I know you played them throughout the entire time. They were considered really poor, had horrible win rates.
Yes.
But even back then, you still did well with them,
Yeah.
and a lot of that comes down to, at least in my opinion, it came down to the time and the effort you'd put into learning the army so well and so in depth that you knew exactly what output you could get out of everything and how to use it to its best ability. So
Yeah.
I'm keen to talk about that. But the most recent event was Gauntlet Round 8. You
Mhm.
went undefeated at it.
Yeah.
Coming in second was Jacob.
Mhm.
Third was Jono. Elena, her first ever AOS event, took out Best Painted, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. And then Paul took out the best sport. So one thing I did want to mention that I told everyone on the day was that everyone at this event actually got a best sports nomination, which I am super pumped about because it just means that we've got an awesome community and we're welcoming more people want to get in, and that means more people playing games, more tournaments, bigger tournaments, just all round just better. But let's focus in on our guest. You
Yeah,
took
for sure.
beasts. What was the list that you took and why?
So yeah, I took beasts again. I guess for me, I was actually just trying something new. I guess as you're aware, the drop of AOS 3 with the change in your GHB, a lot of it's now. almost got to tailor your list to make sure that you can achieve all the battle tactics and give yourself the best chance possible.
Yep.
They're a little bit harder, however, it sort of flows the normal ebbs and flow of the games. The battle tactics seem to have a bit more, I guess, more tailored to what you'd normally be doing anyway. However, towards the end of the game, you start running out of options. So I really wanted to try a um, new list to see if I could really maximize the potential.
Yep.
So been running a very similar list for probably the last 2.5 years. So for me, my core really is 2 units of enlightened. What they enabled me to do is push out to be able to apply pressure where I need to, and just enable me to counterpunch and really reposition myself to shore up a flank or to push on a flank if I need to. Um, Backing up those guys, I usually have, I guess, multiple levels of chaff. Main reason for that is I can board control. I can sort of almost try and suck people into where I want them to position. So then I can counterpunch, as I like to play a more counterpunch style of game.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so I had my normal level of chaff. For me, I had my basic core is always 2 units of either Untamed Beasts or Ungor Raiders. And they're my pre-game screens. So they get to move up, push up, present some board presence with a 6-inch pre-game move. Then understanding, I guess, the GVs, Glacian Veterans. So I had 2 units of Gauls. So that way I can always make sure I can cap them. And they were in the battalion, so I could actually count them as 30 instead of 10.
Yep.
Then my next sort of level, I had my enlightened, as I said, just they were my hammers. And then I needed an anvil. So the thing that really fills that role now is the dragon ogres.
Yep.
So they've come down significantly in points. They're 5 wounds each. A brick is 6, 30 wounds on a 4-up save. So they're quite resilient. And then with the changes in the new GHB, they're able to rally on a 4+. So quite resilient, and you can also sort of cycle through your stuff to get a nice anvil. The big change for me though for this time is I wanted to try out just some Bestigor.
Oh, yep.
And what I changed, usually I run a Demon Prince of Corn as more of a control style list. However, I wanted to be able to have the option to get another battle tactic with Killer Glacian Veteran with a Glacian Veteran.
Yep.
And so I was enabled to swap out my Demon Prince of Corn and also Cogs, and then I took a unit 20 Bestigor.
Yeah. Okay.
And not many people are big on Bestigor, I guess, because they're Glacian Veterans with the risk of the Bounty Hunter. But this enabled me to have 4 hammers, and also had 20 bodies that I could really push up. They can run and charge. They got a base move of 6 with my Showman that makes them base move of 9 if they're higher than 12. +1 to their runs from the horn. So I can get them to run and charge, basically moving out 14, 15 inches, and then a charge range. And then being Glacian Veterans, I can pretty much guarantee all 20 will get in. And on the charge, you get 3 attacks each. So 60 attacks is what I wanted to go for, and just be able to push people off objectives and then capture.
Yeah. Yeah. They also get bonuses to attack against order units, don't they?
Yeah, so against the order, they can reroll ones. And if you got a unit of 10 or more, they get +1 to hit.
Yeah.
So it makes them rerolling ones, on hitting on 3s, winning on 3s, Ren in net 1, and it goes up to 2 with the Herdstone, or Ren 3 from turn 3 onwards.
Yeah.
So they hit like a brick, and then you just can rally them back if they start taking damage. So I really found them very, very, perform really quite well, higher than expected, and I think I'll keep them in going forward.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's especially one thing that I've been struggling with my list at the moment is that head to head, I think, is the tactic where killing a Galleyvet unit with a Galleyvet unit.
Yeah.
None of the stuff that I'm running has any type of damage output in terms of the Galleyvets. So having just that options there and listening to you go through the rest of your list, it very much sounds like you've got multiple options, you've got redundancies, you've got plans within plans within plans, and it shows on the table when people watch you play. Like, there's very few times, like watching you or like seeing how your games went, that it looked like you didn't have at least a play that you were working towards. It looked like you always had something might fail. Okay, cool. On to the next thing. We'll do this then. So round 1 was the Mighty and the Cunning. And you were up against Paul with his Stormcast. Walk us through that game.
So typically beasts are not great against a shooting army. they're very much a glass hammer. Most things have a 4 or 5 up save, and your best sort of save in the army is a 4. So playing against Paul, he had a big unit of adjudicators, the bow guys. He also had two units, two guys, the hero stormcast guys that shoot.
The big bow guys, the
Yes.
night judicators.
Yeah, so we had
Yep.
two of them, and he had Taureline as well. So his basic plan was to move those guys around, create multiple damage at range, and then he also had some fulminators to come in and push people off.
Yep.
Um, for me, my tactic was trying to box him into his zone, keep him away from stuff, and then if I could isolate units, I'd try and take it out.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's basically how I try to play it. My list is about 14 drops, so I try. I play basically as if I know I'm going to go first because everyone would like to go second so they can, name the proving grounds, etc.
Yep.
Unfortunately for this map, the side he got almost created like 3 lanes of fire, but also minimized the ability for him to actually have clear lanes,
Yeah. Okay.
quite large terrain. He gave me the first, which is expected, but I was able to push up and basically zone off the whole board. So him being Silent Storm, he couldn't really drop down anywhere opportunistic.
Yep.
Um, and unfortunately, he got locked in his deployment zone with minimal uh, ability to concentrate his firepower on what he needed due to line of sight.
Yep.
And from there, it was basically just controlling uh, how I could create my battle tactics, deny his, and unfortunately, I think he went down quite. It was quite a big score differential against him, but he played well. After the game, he said, "Look, I really should have gone first." So it was a good learning point for him. But yeah,
Mm.
it was really well played.
Yeah, yeah. And watching that one, whenever I walked past it, very much he was playing your game. Like
Yep.
he gave you first, you took it, and you were like, "Cool, I'm gonna set the pace now. I'm gonna set the tone of this game."
Mm.
And you're always gonna win if you play your game. If you can
Yep.
stop your opponent playing and doing what they want to do, which it
Yep.
definitely showed in that game. So you're one up. Second round was Won't Back Down.
Yep.
And you played Wes and his Stormcast.
Yes. So I think for this one, not as much shooting, which is I was pleased to see. He had a couple of dragons. He had a chariot. He also had some teleports as well, so I had to be aware for ball control presence. But this was the funny one where we're on the long tables, so
Yep.
quite far apart. With this one, again, I was given first, so I was able to do what I normally do, I guess, with my pre-game moves, move up, screen, and really just lock people in their deployment zone. And unfortunately, I was able to control the board quite early for Wes. So he got sort of locked in his deployment zone, and I was able to position my stuff. So if he came in, I was positioned very favorably for a counterpunch,
Yep.
and that's pretty much how the game played out.
Yeah. Okay.
He had some very unlucky rolls in regards to charges and damages on his chariot into some enlightened, and then with them going second, they had full re-rolls and just
Mm.
lifted most of his army. I think turn 3.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Um, so well played. I think he was just sort of more. I find with Beast, a lot of people haven't played against him, and you tell them the rules, you tell them what they can potentially do. However, I don't think they understand the amount of damage that can they push through with their end update.
Oh yeah. That update is absolutely huge.
Yeah.
So yeah. There and into Stormcast like an army that very much relies on high saves to be
Yes.
able to weather any damage. Like they don't have lots of wounds, they don't have any damage reduction. It's purely
Mm.
saves. Your Ren just rips straight through that.
Yeah. So I was I guess, very lucky that I got those two missions, two opponents straight up, as it was quite favoured.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, though, your third round, your Ren didn't really matter much because you're up against Nathan with his Nighthaunt.
That's right.
How did that one go?
Now this was a cracker of a game. I've only played Nighthaunt after the new book once. I played against Lynchy in GoldCon. So I had a new appreciation of how resilient they are and how much that 4+ save is amazing.
Yep.
So this was a really good game. I think which mission were we playing on this
It
one?
was the prize of Gallet.
Yes, yeah. So I find this one's very important to understand how you deploy, especially if you know you're going to be going second.
Yep.
Your Galatian Veterans and Proving Grounds is incredibly important.
Mm.
Um, so he gave me first again. So I was able to push up onto the middle point. So he named that and activated that objective first. Made it the Proving Grounds. So what I did is basically had everything deployed in the middle of my deployment zone. So all huddled around my headstone. Had my 2 units of Untamed Beasts in the flank to push up. And then I had Dragon Ogres in the middle, backed up behind with my unit of 20 Bestigors.
Yep.
So my play was I was going to push forward and just try and create a massive center on the objective and just hope that he couldn't push me off. I was not aware of how much damage that blade guys can do, though.
Oh yeah.
I thought I was sitting pretty. So I pushed my 6 Dragon Ogres onto the point, basically made it so I had another 10 Bestigors towing in on the back. So if he was to go for the battle tactic of against the odds, he would have to push through 6 Dragon Ogres and then 20 Bestigor, which I
Yeah.
figured
Okay. And
he
that's yeah.
shouldn't be able to do. So I was very fortunate. I got my battle tactic. He then got his turn. Yeah, and he just went, you know what? If I don't do it, I don't think I'm gonna win. And he just pushed everything forward. Um, made some amazing rolls. So as we know with the not help book, if they roll extra high, then you're gonna get. So I think I was on -3 rend, fighting last, and -1 to hit.
Oh damn.
So his 2 units of blade guys came in, did heaps of mortal wounds due to their faction.
Yep.
Lifted the 6 dragon ogres, but because he'd marked it the proving grounds, he had I think 18 guys on there, and I had the full 20. So
Oh,
the
that's
best
nuts.
Eagles came in absolute clutch and denied in the battle tactic, and also so it was, at that point it was 4-0 for scores. Um, and very fortunate, I run the roll off for second, and I chose that. And then from there, it was like a big slog.
Yep.
So just trying to punch through them out. I'm used to my Enlightened being able to go in and basically clear a giant a turn. However, I think against his Blade Ice, I maybe did kill 10 models.
Oh, that's
Um, he had the multiple layering buffs and the guy that reduces the amount of damage that you do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and bringing back I think 3 models a turn. So yeah, incredible. I was
Mm.
a massive newfound respect for how strong the ghosts are.
Yeah, well, I know when I came over, whenever I walked past your guys' table, it would just look like it was just an absolute grind in the center of the table.
It
Um,
was yeah,
you,
4,000 points in the middle.
yeah, yeah, I think you had like one or two little chaff units on each side, and then everything else was in that like middle third of the table. So I was impressed with how many models you guys could get to fit in such a small space. So
Oh yeah, and his retreating, charging, moving around. It just yeah, a lot of moving, a lot of dice. It unfortunately we only got to finish second round, just because the amount of models, attacks, abilities we had to trigger. Yeah, so
yeah,
good
yeah.
game. I really wish we could have played it out.
Yeah, yeah, and it is always a shame that sometimes some of those most fun, most intense games,
Yeah,
unfortunately, the reason they are so fun is because they're so intense, and they're so
yeah,
intense. So you need to take that time to
yeah,
do everything properly and do everything correctly, and so you're not missing anything. And like you said, like if he's charging in, I think he had 40 blade
yeah. 40
revenants in
blade
his list.
guys. Yeah,
They throw out an absolute bucket load of attacks. So that's a bucket load of dice that you have to
yeah,
roll every single time, and then
yeah.
saves, and then yeah. So
And then yeah, his retreat, charge, mortal
mm,
wounds on the charge, and then rolling, etc. So it just sort of adds up the time wise.
yeah,
But really good game, and I really would look forward to playing him again.
yeah, yeah. Well, that was the 3 rounds. So you went undefeated. So
Yeah,
what was your thoughts at the end of the day? Were you happy with? Hopefully you were happy with how you played and how your list performed.
yeah.
Are you going to be doing any tweaks between this one and the next tournament you go to, or what are you thinking?
Very happy with how it went. The Bestigor definitely went above and beyond my expectation. They were impactful every game. The ability to be there, it's extra 10 of 20 bodies, and also count as the Glacian veterans for the Proving Grounds was very impactful. So I definitely think they'll stay in. The main thing I think I'll change is take out my Doom Ball, which hurts me because it's such a nice model.
Mm.
And I might put in the what's it called. Um, I'm just having a mind blank at the moment. Basically, rotate into the Goat Lord. Uh,
The Beast Lord.
that's the one. The
Yep.
Beast Lord. So he'll still have the Mutilated Nail Blade. He'll have 6 attacks. On the 6, they proc to be another hit. And they're 3 damage each. They'll be at Ren 2. He
Yep.
can run and charge. So he's just a small little dude that can run in and do a lot of damage. If he kills a model, then all my goats can then add +1 to the win rolls.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's sort of a little bit extra, and that also enables me to swap out a unit Untamed Beast for a unit 10 Ungor Raiders.
Yeah. Okay.
Just the extra 10 shots, just enough to sort of whittle down those 10-man units. I might do 1 or 2 words, but it's enough that against another unit of 10,
Mm.
I'll be able to cap an objective. So it's just these tiny little tweaks that will give me that extra 5%.
Yeah, yeah. And those tiny little tweaks kind of leads in perfectly to the other thing that I wanted to talk to you tonight
Yeah.
is you're a long time beast player.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from I think one rune axe, I haven't seen you play anything apart from beasts.
Yep.
So what I wanted to talk to you about was what do you see are the benefits of kind of sticking with one faction and kind of just consistently trying to improve and get better and learn the different ins and outs on just that one faction versus trying to jump between different armies and play styles, and how do you find that kind of translates to doing better at tournaments or doing better on the table?
Really good question. A lot of levels to that, I guess. The key thing I think is with the new GHB and the new edition, it's brought a lot of complexity and it's also brought a lot of nuance to it. So you have a lot to think about. So the only thing you're thinking about is how you're going to achieve your battle tactics and how you're going to position your army to take the objectives without having to continually think about how your rules play, what your actual unit does, what's my threat range, what's my damage output. It really reduces your cognitive load. Um, and it might be fine for one game, but when you're playing, a 2-day weekend,
Hmm.
you just get absolutely gassed. Um, so the biggest advantage, I think, is being able to know your rules intimately inside out, knowing exactly your threat range and your damage output can enable you to make those decisions that will then allow you to achieve those battle tactics, allow you to get those little extra 5%, 10%. And
Hmm.
that's really important when you're playing against really good high level players.
Hmm.
Um, and it also enables you to not make those silly mistakes because I'm sure every single player has played a game and they go, oh man, I forgot this, or oh, I forgot that, or oh, I should have moved this guy here ready for next turn. Um, and by playing the army consistently, regularly, um, you get very good at understanding and not making those mistakes. I mean, obviously, reps help. However, if you've played your army for a long time, then you start picking up on those small things and you know the pattern.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
So it almost becomes like muscle memory. Like you don't consciously know that this unit can clear that unit. It's kind of
mm,
almost a I've played with them so much over the
mm,
course of a long period of time. You just kind of have that gut feeling of yeah, those guys will be able to achieve that over there, and these guys can do this here. Then this
yeah.
is how I can set up.
I think yeah. Also, the biggest thing is like especially with the new edition, it's all about can I kill this unit to then be able to take that objective,
Mm.
or can I kill this unit to then achieve this battle tactic? Understanding your threat range and how your buffs will interlace really enables you to go, okay, on average or even low, less than average, I should be able to achieve that.
Yep.
And guaranteeing being able to achieve a battle tactic or lifting a unit off an objective is what really enables you to win the game.
Mm.
Because I don't know how many times I've heard or walked past tables and they've gone, "Oh man, I wish I hadn't split those attacks, or I wish I hadn't split those shots." Um, Being able to be like, "No, I'll put all these attacks in. If they run over, okay, but I know it's a guarantee." As opposed to going, "Oh, I could possibly do this. However, I'd have to roll okay or good."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of knowing it that well that you're almost planning and assuming things go wrong,
Yep.
but your plans can weather it. You can still achieve what
Yes.
you need to achieve by the time you needed to have achieved it.
Yes. And I think the biggest thing is also understanding how your faction works and what strengths for your army is and what your weaknesses are. So, for example, with Beast, I understand that I'm a glass hammer. I can hit hard, I can move very fast. However, I just can't take a beating. Um, so, me understanding that is how I've designed my list. A lot of people don't play it how I play. A lot of people favor either the Dragon Ogres or the Bulgors. Yes, they do a lot of damage. However, I find they're not as fast. So you can't really project power as well
Yeah.
as the
Okay.
Insane Line. Um, and for me, I guess understanding how the nuances play. So if it's Zango and Lightning, they can move 19. If I charge with another unit and I sort of get all of them in first, and then the Enlightened are just tagged in the corner, it enables then the Enlightened to go second, and I can get full rerolls. So really
Yeah.
understanding how your rules work, and then how all your units support those. And that only comes with time or really going through the book and looking.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of just that you're invested the times to get that extra level, that second level of knowledge and
Yeah.
understanding of how everything stitches together.
Yes.
One thing that you haven't touched on yet is the summoning for the Beasts of Chaos. In my opinion, you are one of the undisputed experts at summoning and knowing what to summon, where to summon it, and when to summon it.
Yep.
So I've seen you summon chariots on one games, Ungol Raiders another, Bestigor in another, monsters in another. It's kind of it's the army gives you a lot of flexibility, but because you've invested so much time into it, you know what you need when, and you always
Mm.
seem to have the tools for whatever challenge is presented to you. I think we've
Mm.
played twice over the years, and
Yep.
both times I never felt like I was pushing you. It all kind of
Mm.
felt like you're just sitting there going, "Yep, it's all going according to a plan."
Yep.
And kind of whatever problem I presented for you, whether it was say a Bastillodon in the center or pushing in something from the flank, you were able to go, "Cool, okay, this is the situation. This is how I'm going to counter it. This is I can summon in from here. I can summon in from here." So do
Yep.
you think that beasts having that extra flexibility is why you can kind of invest that extra time and take it to that next level?
I think that yeah, that helps. I guess the biggest thing, I mean, yeah, the summoning definitely makes a viable option. You always have a tool, so I really enjoy toolbox style
Mm,
armies. Give you a lot of options. Problem with those armies is usually if you have a lot of options, you can make a lot of mistakes.
yep.
And beasts are great if you're running them well and you don't make a mistake. But if you make a mistake, they really pinch you for it. Um, I guess in regards to, like you said, always have a plan. Um, I don't know if you've ever played Magic the Gathering or any similar card games,
No,
etc. like that.
I'm plastic crack, not cardboard crack.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. So I guess stealing a few principles from that is understanding the meta and understanding what style of thing you'll come against. So for me, a lot of it comes down to preparation before the actual game starts.
Yep.
So I'll sit there and listen to different podcasts and understand what roughly the meta would be, understand what sort of threats I'll have to deal with, and then sit there and think about in these battle plans, how am I actually going to be able to manage these threats? Um, and then consider what my battle plans are likely going to be over my battle tactics will be over the
Mm,
next over 5 turns.
yep.
So I'll go, what can I achieve turn one? What can I achieve turn two? What's three? What's four? What's five? And then consider, what are my hammers going to do? How am I going to control the board? And then, like you said, touching on the summoning side, that's really where the summoning shores up that situation.
Mm,
And when you're saying I have a lot of options and I choose the right thing, that's about understanding we're now in turn 3 or turn 4 or turn 2 of the game. Where does my summoning need to be in 1 or 2 turns from now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of the times I'll summon a unit in the corner on turn 2. And people are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "That's just there for turn 4."
Mm.
You're putting stuff there, and a lot of times it's just smoke and mirrors, distractions. Uh, I know I sure get carried away, and I just want to go and kill stuff instead of the objective. And if you give someone something to go kill, they go, "Oh man, I just want to go destroy that unit." Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
and
gonna
so
go.
something, a lot of times it's psychology. You just put a unit there and you go, "Oh, do you want to go kill it?"
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna
you're
go
drawing
mess up that newly summoned unit that he had to invest time and effort to put there,
exactly.
and you're
Yeah,
like, yeah, I never cared from them in the first place. So
that's right. I'm just pulling you away. So it's just about understanding with my army, if I can trade something that I haven't paid for a
mm,
200 point unit, I'm now playing against only 1800 points of your army.
yeah,
Um, and that's why I really enjoy the summoning mechanic.
yeah. Well, I'm sure that you can talk about the different nuances of Beast of Chaos until the end of time.
Very much
Um,
so, at least.
Unfortunately, we all have lives
Yep.
outside of the hobby, so I'm going to have to call it there.
Yeah, no worries.
I have seen that you have already registered for the next Gauntlet, which is on
Yep.
the 17th of September down at Irresistible Force in Burleigh.
Yep.
So if anyone else is interested, definitely sign up for it. We've already got 16 people signed up at the time of recording, and the event's only been up for about 2 days. So
Sweet.
it should be a full house. I'm pumped. It's always a good showing down there at Burleigh, and I'm pumped to see everyone down there again as well. Apart from that, is there anyone that you wanted to shout out?
I guess shout out to the Simple Math crew. Really got a really good group of guys and girls. As you know, the community is lovely. Um, Everyone's really keen and interested. We have some really good, close, hard fought games. But at the end of the day, we all have a joke, have a laugh about it, um, and we all just enjoy hanging out.
Excellent. Well, hopefully, I will see lots of representation from Simple Math at
Yeah,
the next Gauntlet, especially because we're kind of going into their home territory. So,
no, it should be good.
apart from that, you can catch me on all the PMTT socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, um, or message me personally. Apart from that, I think that's everything. So I think we'll just call it there, and we'll hopefully see you guys at the next event.
No
Until next
worries.
time.
Big shout out to yourself for running these things for us. Much appreciated from the community.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No worries.
See you guys next time. Bye.